Hey friends, how's it going? Welcome back. It's Thursday once again. I know, how fast does the week go by, right? I know, it's like it's got wings or something like that. Anyways, as you can see and probably hear, the AC is on. We're in the apartment. It's already, well, let's see, it's already over 90. I know that for sure. Let's see, what is it? What is it now? It's 90 degrees already. You see that? There you go. 90 degrees. Humidity, about 40%. So it's a little sticky. Nothing crazy. I know most of my East Coast and Midwestern friends and subscribers are probably just chuckling. They're like, brother, that ain't nothing. Well, I understand that. I've been on the East Coast in the summer. I've been in Canada in the summer. And let me tell you, 80 to 90% humidity, I understand. I've experienced it. I get it. I've been to Hawaii, for crying out loud. That's high. It rains every day, sometimes twice a day. But anyways, humidity I've experienced quite a bit. But even 40%, this is traditionally a pretty dry climate, and it's been dry most of the time. But outside it feels sticky. You get clammy and weird outside. So even 40% humidity will make it uncomfortable. But anyways, are we here to talk about the weather? No, we're not. We're not here to gripe about things we can't control, except for our thermostats. Thankfully, I have an air conditioner that is rather economical, and it makes it a little more comfortable in here than, say, the garage, which I love. I miss the garage. Just the one thing I really I don't like about summer. I can't say I don't like it. It just makes it uncomfortable, and I miss hanging out there, having a pipe, and enjoying the garage with you guys. And that's kind of that's home base. And we'll always be going back there when it's a little more comfortable. I know I've said I probably should do videos at night when it's actually nice and comfortable, but you know, the lighting is different, and I don't like it at night as much out there as I enjoy the natural light from the garage when the door is open. I think that's a little more appealing. Anyways, we have an update. And also an apology. I told you guys I was going to make a stripping video. Don't get excited or scared. Your choice. Anyways, we were going to remove the paint off of the little wizard, the red little wizard. And I just went and did it on Tuesday. I removed the paint. And I'm kind of glad I did, because this is a gift to a veteran friend of mine. And I just heard yesterday that he's having a get-together tomorrow night, and I want to give this lantern to him sooner than later, so I'm glad I got a jump on it, and it's practically done now. There's a few little things I'm going to do to it before I present it to him. But anyways, it's ready to go in all intents and purposes. And, well, I will definitely tell you my recent method of removing paint on tubulars. But anyways, let's bring it up. Without further ado, you remember, as a refresher, I'll just drop a photo in right now of what it looked like before I stripped it. Okay? We're all familiar? Remember that? Okay. Here it is. Yeah, isn't that nice? Did that not come out nice? Yeah, I cleaned the globe. It's all ready to go. It really did come out nice. It's got plenty of tin plate left and nice turn plate bottom. Yep. It's quite the little piece. It is. It's nice. I really enjoy this lantern. I think it came out wonderful. It's interesting to see where the tin is still existing and where it's not. The crown has copious amounts of tin plating left, but the baffle and most of the air tubes do not. How does that happen? I don't know. Now, the baffle does get pretty warm, but the chimney definitely gets warmer. And there's still plenty of tin there, but not here. So it's interesting where the tin survives and doesn't survive. And it's definitely down around the fount, the chimney, and the crown. But the baffle and the air tubes are pretty much bare. The tin plate is worn off, and it's consistent throughout the lantern. But it looks all right to me. I don't think it looks ugly. I think it looks neat. I think it's a pretty neat piece. Now, we did find the date, because it was hidden under that thick layer of red paint. Now, the red paint, it could have been possibly applied during the war. I can't confirm or deny that. It was slightly older paint, but I would say that was definitely applied in the 50s. Because the age, if it had been applied in the era, soon after purchase, the tin would be a lot more than this. Especially the thickness of that red paint. Holy wow. That was a heavy brush that painted that thing. And it was a very sloppy job. It was. And had it been painted soon after purchase or delivery to a military base, it would have been a lot more tin than this. Now, from my research and from what others have shown me and told me, these little wizards, or most lanterns used by the U.S. military, such as the Army in this case, they either left them bare tin or they painted them olive drab. So this one obviously was never painted until after the war at some point, because they would have had olive drab underneath the red paint had it been painted originally or when ordered. So yeah, we're seeing a bit of tin loss here in the tubes and in the baffle, but at any rate, it's great. It's a really neat piece, and it's very special because the date on this, come to find out, and I'll drop a picture right here, you'll see. You can't see the S. It's obviously made in Syracuse. Most of these were made in Syracuse, but you see a 5 and a 42. So this was made in May of 1942. That's World War II era. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's pretty cool. It's neat to have one. Now, the one that I had prior to this, back last year, that I sold to a subscriber of the channel, I believe it was a 41 date. It was dated 1941. And that's early war period for the U.S. Now, I know World War II was already in full swing by 41, 42. But for the U.S., it wasn't. That's the early war period for us, since we entered the war after Pearl Harbor was bombed in 41. And then between 41 and 42, then we did assemble a strike force, if you could call that. A special secret detail that was dispatched and spearheaded by James Doolittle, General Doolittle, April 18th of 42. Flight of B-25 medium bombers made history and flew undetected until they were discovered by the Japanese, and they did take off prematurely. A lot of planes were ditched. A lot of crews did not come home. A few crews did not come home. Many did return home after bombing Tokyo on the Tokyo raid. So 42 is kind of a big year for the U.S. involvement of just getting into World War II. Now, back here on the homeland, the home front, 42, between December of 41 and May of 42, tension was high. Anxiety was off the charts. Now, if you've ever seen the movie 1941 by Steven Spielberg, it's a comedy, satire about the home front in World War II. Although it is satire, there are parallels that are actually quite accurate to the environment of Southern California between Pearl Harbor and the later part of the war. We had no idea what was going on. We didn't know what to expect. We all felt that if Pearl Harbor could be bombed by them, so could Los Angeles, San Francisco. You choose the target. It was definitely open season on our coastline, on our shores, and that was definitely understood. So we had coastal artillery installations, San Diego, Rosecrans, San Pedro and whatnot. So there was definitely fortifications to protect Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco against any kind of unwanted attacks by foreign country. So just a little bit of a history lesson. February of 42, that was kind of a big one. So near Santa Barbara, there was, I believe, a Richfield oil deposit storage area, large above ground tanks near the coast. That's where they did a lot of drilling offshore and near the coastline at that time. And Richfield had, they had some storage tanks there. And early part of the month, mid part of the month of February, they were shelled by a Japanese submarine. It surfaced and opened fire and tried to knock out some of our oil reserves there near Santa Barbara. Now you could Google it and you will see the newspaper articles and the write-up about that incident, about that attack. Then that set the table for what would transpire on the 25th of February of 42, the Battle of Los Angeles. That is still a mysterious occurrence. Why we were shooting things up in the air, we're not exactly sure. That happened over San Pedro at the Fort MacArthur installation. It's now a museum, which is still kind of in limbo right now, and that's another video. But anyways, it's there. It happened, and they used to hold an annual event called the Great Los Angeles Air Raid of 1942 up until COVID. Anyways, great event. I missed that event a lot. But anyways, it commemorated Los Angeles history, and it was really cool. But anyhow, May comes along. Already a lot of things have happened. April comes along, Doolittle raid, all of that stuff. We're already in the throes of World War II. This is before Coral Sea. This is really early infancy of our involvement in the war. May comes along, government decides, guess what? You're going to be rationed. Your tires, your gas, your food, your yardage, a lot of things were becoming rationed. And that was the month that it all kind of came to be. That was where it was enacted and enforced. And all that. So May of 42 is kind of a big deal, and this one is made right around then. So this is definitely early war period, and it's kind of neat to know that. And does it work? Oh yeah, sure. Well, let's light it up. And I know it's in the house, and usually I don't like to light cold blasts in the house, but I'll have it lit just for a little bit for you guys. Okay. It did come with a wick. And there we go. Yeah, it's going to be all right, I think. Oh yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool. That's a nice flame. It's a nice burn, right? Yeah, it's not bad. I have to trim it. It's drafting a little weird. It looks kind of like Gumby.
That's too bad, Chief.
So yeah, U.S. Mark Globe. Cool World War II piece of history. I think my friend's going to like it a lot. Now, he's not really a lantern collector or an antique collector per se, but he has an appreciation and a taste for antiques and the past. He appreciates it. In World War II history, that is definitely a field of interest of his. He's been into my garage many times for hanging out with the guys, and he's often commented on my tubular lantern collection. And he says, man, these are kind of cool. He's made observations and comments about them. So many times he's like, I like your lanterns. They're pretty neat. I'm like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So we go back and forth, complimenting each other's interests. But at any rate, I think he's going to like this. And this will be kind of, something of my passions gifted to him. Definitely has a World War II connection and a military army connection. And that he's very passionate about. He's very much a very passionate and proud member of the U.S. Army, retired Master Sergeant. So, yeah, I think he's going to dig it. Anyways, there we go. All I'm going to do is just a bit of a little mother's polish on there and just kind of give it a little layer of protectant and brighten it up a little bit. I know I'm usually the leave it as is guy, That's for my personal collection. That's for my stuff. This is not mine. This is not staying. So had it been mine, I would just leave it right here as it is. But anyway, it's a cool piece. It's pretty neat. So my method of removing the paint on this, I did a little differently. So in the past videos, you'll look and see that I did, I just sprayed the whole lantern down with Easy Off, and I probably did it a few times to get most of the paint off, and then I would take it out to the back and hose it off with high pressured water, and then I would let it hang out in the sun and dry out and do all that, so it wouldn't get any flash rust really, and then smother it in WD-40, wipe it all down, get it all cured, and then eventually do a little bit of a mother's polish, a light mother's polish on it. Now this one I've done a little differently, where I took a trash bag. First, of course, I sprayed the whole thing down with the Easy Off oven cleaner. Now, I'm going to go into that a little bit, sooner than later. I will touch upon a point I want to make about that. But I just doused it with that oven cleaner, put it in a trash bag, like a kitchen light, trash can liner, and I make sure I get most of the air out of it so the bag clings to the piece, so it'll actually kind of seal in the oven cleaner and make it more, the air won't dry it out as fast. So it'll be on the surface of the paint and doing its job more so than just letting it sit in the open air. So I did that, and it softened the paint up, and it came off pretty easily. I sprayed probably 85% of it off, but the paint on top of the chimney was definitely a little more difficult, and around the chimney and the crown were definitely being very stubborn, but I got everything off. It came off relatively easy. And this method I've been really enjoying because it's not terribly difficult. You're not scrubbing and reapplying one after another, it's actually pretty simple, straightforward. Now, some of the other camps, they like to use the E-tank. Now, E-tank, some of you younger, newer collectors might be like, well, what's that? I've heard about it, but what does that entail? Well, an E-tank is just, what guys will do is they'll get one of those big, large Home Depot plastic job buckets or paint buckets, or a Rubbermaid bin, and they'll get some rebar and secure them to the sides of the tank, of the bucket or bin, fill it with water, add wires to the rebar, hook them to a car battery charger, and then they add a solution, I think some lye and other concoctions. I'm not sure of the formula, please forgive me, but they add it to the water, and then they will submerge a lantern and let that sit in there for several hours, and that will... What was that? Oh, was that my phone? I put my phone off the thing. It scared me. Like, what? Anyways, so they'll do that. They'll treat a lantern with that E-tank method, or electrolysis tank, as it's really formally called. And through the process of electrolysis, it will remove rust, oxidation, paint, whatever, and it will get down to the bare metal. And people do like that method because it's relatively easy. And you get no scrub marks or abrasion marks on your tin or your metal, and it does come out nice. I won't lie, I had a friend of mine do that to a few lanterns. That would be friend and subscriber Steve Young. He's done the electrolysis to a couple of my lanterns, and they came out great. They came out beautiful. I don't have them anymore. I've sold them. But anyways, that style is not my taste anymore as much, but I know people do really like it, and it's not a bad method. But I like my lanterns looking kind of rustic and untouched, as long as they're not too rusty. There is a point where it's too rusty, and I do have there is a line, but anyhow, the other method is the lye bath. So they'll fill up a tank of water, bin of water, whatever, and add lye to it, and they will soak a lantern in lye, and you get more or less the same type of results, but it doesn't really take off it'll take off paint, maybe some oxidation, but it will leave a patina to more or less certain degrees. Lye will take a lot of dirt off and paint. It's really great for removing paint. It is. Now, personally, I don't have the luxury of having a large bin of water that I can just leave out in a yard. I do have neighbors. I live in a small bungalow community, and some of them have cats or dogs or whatever, and there's also animals that come. Since I'm in the foothills, we do get coyotes, we do get raccoons, we do get skunks, and we have squirrels, we have possums, we got some wildlife here. And if I had a bin of water just sitting out in the backyard or the side yard that had toxic chemicals in it, it could be bad. And also my neighbors have a son, he's 2, and he can wander around, and maybe it will be toxic for him to be around. So it's not. I'm not going to do it in the garage because you don't want to do it inside unless it's an open environment for long periods of time, because it will make the air toxic to be around you. You don't want to be near that thing when it's working. But anyhow, for me, in my current situation where I live, a can of Easy Off and a trash bag is all you need. And for those who do like to preserve any kind of patina or finish that's under a paint job, you're not gonna go wrong. It's very easy to do, and it's very safe. You will want to apply the Easy Off outside because it will choke you. If you breathe that in, you will can't breathe. It's strong stuff. It's not to be taken lightly. You want to use rubber gloves, okay, dish gloves, whatever. You want to have those, and if you want to wear a surgical mask or a respirator or something like that, like a painter's mask, by all means, take those precautions. I don't disagree or discourage that at all, because I've been known to tie a neckerchief around my face when I'm outside doing that myself. I've done that in other cases because it is strong. You don't want to apply it in your kitchen or in your sink. You want to do it outside or in your garage. Have plenty of ventilation. And by the way, it is highly flammable. It's dangerous to use around any kind of open flame. So anyways, take that for what it's worth. But if you're in an apartment or an environment where you can't have an e-tank or electrolysis or lye bath, which is a method I steer clear from, even if I had the opportunity and the room and the space and the ability to have that, I probably wouldn't do it. I like the Easy Off. It's inexpensive, doesn't take up a lot of room, and it's easy to do, and the turnaround time is not that bad. So, and all you have to do is just take a garden hose and rinse off the paint after you've let it sit for a while, and it just falls right off, and it's easy cleanup. It's not hard. And you don't have to find a place to dump a bin of water. For me, it works out perfectly. So, and then you get to see what's underneath. You can leave the patina, or if it has any kind of rust, you can take the rust down a little bit and leave it as is, and you get to enjoy a cool piece of history. So it's a more methodical and less aggressive method to removing paint, I think. At least for me it is, and I like it. I appreciate it. So that it's becoming kind of a popular method, actually. I think a lot of people are starting to come around to using it instead of dunking a lantern and doing the electrolysis baptism. So yeah, that's the product. That's the finished end results. And maybe somebody might say, well, you should paint it olive green. And that's definitely more Army than not, and they did paint them olive green at some points. They let them be just bare tin or olive green. Okay, sure. I know there's a lot of people that feel painting a metal piece, especially depending on where you live, is very important because it will protect it and keep it safe from oxidizing and rusting away. And I can agree. I do. I see your point. Since I'm in a very dry climate, relatively speaking, rust is not as big of a threat or possibility here as it is in other states that are east of me. So if you're in a very damp climate, definitely you're going to want to paint something or coat it with some kind of clear coat of something. If you want to keep the bare look, definitely boiled linseed oil is popular. There's other methods to keep them from rusting and maintaining the look of a rustic lantern. But anyways, since I'm here, I don't have to do that. It's just what it is. But no, I'm going to leave it as is. Now, if it had come with original olive green paint from World War II, we wouldn't be making this video. I wouldn't have stripped it anyways. I would have left it alone. It would have been a survivor of World War II. And this is still a survivor of World War II. Just this one was never painted green. It was painted red, most likely after World War II. And whoever had it, they probably felt they should paint it and preserve it, which it did come from a more humid climate. So, yeah. And whoever had it before probably used it as a camping lantern after World War II, and they kept it in their family and then decided to sell it. So, I was looking for this lantern on eBay because first I was asking around if anybody had one of these U.S. marked globes, because I could just get any 40s manufactured little wizard, not a problem, and make it an army type of lantern, just with the proper pieces. But I was looking on eBay, and there's a lot of little wizards. Let me tell you, there's at least 1,000 listed, streamlined or not streamlined, new and old. They made a lot, still do. So I saw this listing, and there was a red painted little lantern, and I'm like, oh, let's just take a look. The price was right. The price was really affordable. It had a nice low buy it now, cheap shipping. So I'm like, well, take a look at it. And then I was looking at the pictures, and I saw the dirty globe, but then I saw US. I'm like, perfect. Bought it. Got it. Stripped it. And now here we are. And it's ready to go in all intents and purposes, and I hope my friend will definitely cherish it and appreciate it as it is intended to be. So, well, friends, we're running over time. We're pushing 30 minutes now. Hope you enjoyed this update video. Again, I'm sorry I did not do a process video of me removing the paint, but I got caught up with things. Time was running out, and I just felt it had to get done sooner than later. And I'm glad I did, since I am going to see him tomorrow night. So, yeah. Glad you guys could join me. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thanks for sticking around. And we'll be back next week with a new item to share. Yeah. So we continue the tubular tradition here. Rayo Rob 17 signing off. See you next time. Bye-bye.